same tribe, happens to meet up with the same tribe that Devlin has lived with for the last 5 years. Against his protests, in part because he doesn't want to have anything to do with Sarayanon, and she is a constant reminder of Sarayanon. She is assigned to him for training because her lifelong dream has been to be a warrior, and clearly that wasn't going to happen with Sarayanon. So at this point, Kerris has been with the tribe for about 4 months. She has been learning incredibly quickly, but other than that, everything has been sort of progressing as would be usual. And it takes place in an olive grove, and the way I've got it set up is that the trees sort of surround a clearing where the tribe has set up camp. And the only other thing I mentioned before this is that Orali is her horse. So Orali will come in later, and it doesn't say, my horse, Orali. So you just insert that yourself. The sharp clang of metal blades rang through the olive grove in gathering dusk. I backed away from my attacker, rolling my steps from toe to heel to prevent a misstep as I peered through the dim light, trying to anticipate the next strike. There, a glint of moonlight on metal as the curved sword swept toward me. My awkward parry caught the blow, and I ground my teeth as it slid the wrong direction along my own blade. It came to a jarring stop against the hilt instead of skidding off my sword's point as I intended. Before I had time to think, Devlin flicked his wrist, moved in past my deflected sword, and laid his blade's tip against my throat. I held still, though my muscles trembled from exertion and my lungs screamed for more air. A moment later, he lowered his weapon and stepped back. It didn't matter that his face stayed in shadow. I knew which expression it bore. That parry still isn't right. His tone, he said, his tone cold and matter of fact. If you don't understand something, you need to tell me. I understand it. I swung my curved sword in a wide arc to vent some of my frustration. I know exactly what should happen, but it never works. I'm not fast enough to move that last finger length before the blow hits. And by then I can't abort the parry, and I can't turn it into an attack of my own. This is a stupid weapon to use for defense. Don't discount it. He shoved a hand through his hair in a signature gesture of frustration. It's too dark to see anymore tonight. We'll pick up again in the morning. A horn blast echoed through the grove. Both our heads turned toward the sound, my heart pounding as I recognized the distress call. The tribe was under attack. We sprinted through the trees, and I heard the shouts and sounds of fighting as we approached. We burst into the camp's clearing, and Devlin leapt into the fight while I took a moment to try to make sense of the chaos. The evening fire cast flickering shadows on everything and made it hard to distinguish friend from foe. I looked again. The central fire burned low, but flames licked at several of the smaller family tents, causing disorienting silhouettes. The raiders must have set them burning. A young girl's scream spurred me to action. My eyes must have adjusted to the light. As I crossed blades with the dark man holding a struggling child, I found it as easy to distinguish the bandits as if we fought in broad daylight. My sword flashed out. The kidnapper parried a split second before I would have sliced his left arm. I pressed my advantage and caught him in the very same mistake Devlin had just reprimanded me for. I looked for another invader even before I pulled my blade from my unfortunate opponent's throat. A pair of men appeared from Gurian's tent, carrying a trunk between them. They smiled at each other when I challenged them and attacked together. They expected little resistance. It was a simple matter to file their blades together as they both tried to slash at my head. I spun, slicing under their sloppy recovery to spill over their bellies. Orali's familiar golden coat flickered in the half-light as she jogged to my side. I swung onto her back and raced toward the tightest knot of fighting, yelling a benign battle cry. Time bent. Others acted in slow motion, but my own movements seemed faster than usual. After an indeterminate time, a shout broke through my concentration. Kerris! I turned at the sharp call and saw a spear flying through the air. Though I twisted to avoid it, its tip caught my left shoulder with such force that it pulled me from Orali's back. I slammed into the ground, and everything went black.